Each morning, real RSI setups are broken down with entry strategies and the technical reasoning behind every trade. This is RSI Trade of the Day with Verified Investing.
Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. I want to say thank you guys for joining me live from the Money Show here in Orlando, Florida. So I've got an exciting show. We're getting some volatility in these markets, and that's what we need when we're looking at the relative strength index, okay? So it's a momentum indicator, and the only way this thing works is if you have volatility, and that's what we're starting to see. You guys have a great show for you guys. Stick around towards the end. I'm going to show you what Bitcoin is doing with the RSI. You guys don't want to miss this. All right, so let's go ahead and go into FLNC. So this was my RSI trade of the day. Look at what happened. So you had this nice bid to the upside. My upside target for a shorting opportunity was a little bit higher. But you notice what happened is FLNC just continued to sell off throughout the rest of the day. Look at the RSI. It had this nice drop, stayed below the 30, it finally got above the 70, but you notice it didn't take out any high pivots, so this is continually pushing the price action of FLNC lower. Let's go to the daily time frame. So if price action continues to sell off, $18.45 is going to be a great level. You've got this wide range green bar candle. Not only that, but you've got this gap fill. It did kiss that level, so that is, that could be off of the table. However, if that closes on a 15-minute closing basis below $18.45, I would get out, because look at all these buyers who are in here. Once the price action starts flushing through that, they could start to say, you know what, it's an opportunity for me to exit my trade so that way I don't get out of the money on this one. CLS yesterday, I had mentioned this on the the RSI trade of the day yesterday. Talk about psychological levels. The first thing we did is I mentioned that if we got to $90, there's going to be a lot of people who are willing to take profits, and it pushed it down 2.5%. And I said the next potential level is $295. Look at this. I actually instituted a short $295 in the live day trading room. Took about $2,500 on this, but look at this. You had this huge red bar candle after it pierced that $95 psychological level. People were waiting at this $300, but as price started continuing lower, the RSI started heading lower, and the price action did as well. So right now, we are getting right below this low pivot at $275. So let's go to the daily time frame on CLS. So it is a strong stock on the day. Still, so if it gets down to this high pivot point right here, this gap fill is going to be a good buying level. 271.22, that is the level that you would institute a long on this, just based on the fact that it's into a gap fill. Now, similar price action, right? So you're starting to create some negative RSI divergence on the daily time frame, and you're starting to get some volatility. Now that we're up, we hit the top end of this upsloping parallel channel, this could be a good sign of a reversal, especially as the relative strength in this, or the RSI, is heading lower. So a buying opportunity for me, in addition to this for more of a swing trade, would be $234.60. All right, I'd mentioned there's a opportunity on Robinhood. This chart setup is spectacular. When I was on the RSI trade of the day, I'd mentioned that oftentimes what happens is you get an upsloping trend line. Price action gets above that and then gets rejected. And that's exactly what happened, especially when you've got the relative strength index, or RSI, heading a little bit lower. This is awesome to see that the RSI is playing out. I love the volatility in Robinhood. And so for me, a price action to enter for a long is $121.78. Now, I would normally say that this upsloping trend line is a great opportunity. However, in the pre-market, it got down to $123.48. So there's still some relative weakness in it. So I would actually pick it up below that upsloping trend line. All right, next thing to look at is RGTI. So talk about an opportunity to pick up a potential stock that's got some volatility, and it's a momentum play. So the RSI stayed below the 30 pretty much all day. The price action, as you can see, kind of consolidates. Similar with FLNC, pushing the price action down. I'm going to switch to the daily time frame. This is a golden opportunity if it gets back down to $43.89. So I will caveat with this. that it did get down to $41.01 pre-market, and now it's already trading back up to $47.20. So a long position for me is still this gap fill at $43.89. And if it gets up to $54.70, that is a great opportunity to enter a short position on Rigetti. And then you've got a secondary, that's just a red bar candle. You got a gap fill at 56.34. Now that the RSI and the volatility is back in Rigetti, now we're looking for some negative RSI divergence. So it could take out this pivot top right here, head up to 60, but I think the $60 level is the maximum upside for Rigetti. But again, $41 on RGTI is a great buying opportunity, at least from what I can see. Pfizer I have gone over. It's got some relative weakness in the stock. So let me go ahead and zoom in for you guys. Look at what happened. The price action pretty much just sold off all day. But you notice the RSI, it also stayed pretty negative, pushing the price action down. So the more pressure that the stock has throughout the entire day, the more of a springboard effect that it can have. So let me go to the daily time frame on PFE. It is getting really close to that upsloping trend line that I had mentioned to you guys. Here is the opportunity right here. So if it gets down to just below $24 on the daily time frame, not only is it oversold on the daily time frame, but the RSI is starting to kind of creep up, at least for me, because it's a stronger stock. $24 Pierce is where I would enter a swing trade on Pfizer PFE. What I would do is I would stop out on a closing basis, daily closing basis below that level. All right, my RSI trade of the day. I don't have any zingers for you guys today, but my RSI trade of the day is MU. So look at the price action of MU. So it stayed really strong throughout the rest of the day, or from the day yesterday. The RSI, it kind of chops sideways, but because it's creating this sideways consolidation, this is more of a bull flag indicating that this still has higher to go. So my RSI trade of the day is shorting MU at $210. So I'm going to institute a short opportunity on MU at $210 and look for a 3 to 4% pullback on this stock. It's overextended. The RSI, it's creating this, it's going to get above this upsloping trend line. But the RSI is creating some negative divergence. I like to see that in these stocks. On a 15-minute closing basis, if it closes above $210, I will stop out. But again, 3 to 4%. Okay, now let's go into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I had mentioned that I was going to go over this with you guys. There's a couple different levels. What I'm noticing in the Bitcoin chart is it is really respecting the RSI. So look at what happened here. The RSI got above the 70. You've got some volatility with the price action heading higher, and then this huge reversal as soon as it hit the 70. When you're looking at a chart, you want to make sure that there's volatility in the particular chart that you're looking at, because then you can get a sense of where the price action is going to either get support or resistance. So if we can get this low pivot here, and this is just below $100,000, and the RSI hits 30, this is going to be a golden opportunity for you guys to take advantage of Bitcoin for a long. And there are a couple different ETFs you can look into if you guys are not interested in trading necessarily Bitcoin directly, but you can have an ETF on Bitcoin. So, all right, thank you guys so much for joining me live at the Money Show. This is the RSI Trade today. If you guys like what you guys are seeing, please make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. And Gareth Soloway is going to be going live. The volatility is in the markets. You guys don't want to miss this game plan. Less than 10 minutes. We'll see you guys next time in the charts.